everyone. This is a presentation by Strong Microbials about microbial fermentation and its role in honeybee health. There are many different foods that provide different nutrients to those who eat them. There are many health foods and many foods that are the same in all the different cultures. My favorite one is bread, and like many foods, microbial fermentation is necessary to making some of these foods. Also, microbial fermentation is important to get most nutrition from any of the foods. I really love making bread. I can talk for hours about different starter cultures and sourdoughs and rice and wheats and different microbes that go into the dough to give it its particular flavor. Certainly, as we're talking about bees today, bee bread, which is fermented pollen, also derives its preservative powers and being able to be stored for a long time, as well as nutritive value from the microbial fermentation. Microbes are really good at breaking down complex molecules. This mushroom that's growing on the fallen log in the forest derives all of its nutrition from that wood, from the dead wood, breaking it down to make its delicious flesh that many animals then can consume and get the nutrition from. Similarly, honeybees' diet of pollen and nectar depends on the gut microbes in the gut of the honeybee, in particular in the hind gut, to digest and absorb the most nutrients from its diet. A few years ago, the fast food made news because some people observed that the burgers didn't spoil when left out in the open. Of course, this kind of mystery is not much of a mystery and owes particular preservation of fast foods due to the fact that these foods, as prepared, are nearly sterile, and sterile food doesn't decompose. In order to get nutrients from the food that we eat, the foods that we and bees eat are best digested with a side of microbes, meaning that the microbes that are in the gut have to act on any food to get its nutritious value. For humans, microbes that live in the gut start out early when an infant is receiving mother's milk and is able to get not only nutrition for itself, but also for its gut microbes. Similarly, honeybees have particular bacteria like bifidobacterium, which establish early on and are very, very important for gut function. Gut function in the honeybee gut depends on these bacteria that are listed here. These are the bacteria that are commonly found in the honeybee gut, and as you can see, there are 8 or more different kinds of bacteria. These kinds of bacteria are color-coded with different colors. For convenience, we have highlighted all of the lactic acid bacteria, lactobacilli and bifidobacterium in green. As you can see, all of the lactic acid bacteria are the most abundant in honeybee gut and comprise nearly 3/4 of overall microbial biomass in the gut. Other bacteria such as Gillomella, Snodgrassella, Fischella, lactic acid bacteria are also found in the gut. Even though microbes are small and you can't see them, we're able to use solid-state fermentation to observe the bloom of bacteria, which is the microbiome. This is the bacteria that is normally present in a healthy honeybee gut. As you can see, just like those different colors in the previous diagram, all of the different bacteria look slightly different. There are, as you can see, some bacteria that grow on the surface of the agar. These like air and are aerobic, as well as there are many bacteria that live under the surface of the agar, and these are lactic acid bacteria, which are anaerobic. You can see that there are some. This culture method allows us to study interactions between different microbes, but also interactions with other things and chemicals that are also in honeybee gut. Things like pesticides, which we know are present in honeybee gut. In this example, a well of pesticide is placed right here in the center of the plate. As you can see, there is a little area of inhibition right around the pesticide. This circle of inhibition is because the bacteria are unable to grow or are killed in the closest vicinity to the well of pesticide. You can also observe that the bacteria that are closer to the pesticide grow much slower than the bacteria over here at the edge of the plate. Of course, in addition to pesticides, antibiotics are frequently used in beekeeping, and here this slide is showing this zone of inhibition around the center, which is the well which is filled with antibiotic. As you can see, these are the bacteria that are normally in honeybee gut, and they are killed or suppressed by the antibiotics. The antibiotic on the left is tylosin or Tylan, and the zone of inhibition around this antibiotic at the same concentration is slightly smaller. You can see it right here. Then the zone of inhibition in the plate on the right, which is slightly bigger. And this is terramycin, which is also antibiotic that is commonly used in beekeeping. This is where the antibiotic is, and this is the size of zone of inhibition. The diameter of the zone of inhibition is one thing, and what we have observed by field testing many different customers and many different beekeepers in the field is that we frequently observe honeybee guts, honeybee samples that don't have a lot of bacteria in their gut. And the antibiotic could be a partial explanation to that. This is the kind of plate that in comparison to the previous one, this honeybee sample doesn't have a lot of bacteria. As opposed to hundreds and thousands and millions of bacteria, some samples have hundreds or thousands or just dozens of different bacteria on a plate. This is very concerning because lactic acid bacteria in the honeybee gut are very important, not just to break down the food that the honeybee eats, but also to protect against pathogens such as fungi, toxins such as mycotoxins, and to ensure that the bee bread is preserved and has no contamination. This is what happens in the lab when lactic acid bacteria are decreased and suppressed by antibiotic. See that? That is mold. So what happens when lactic acid bacteria, which are normally secreting different antimicrobial substances, are suppressed or killed by antibiotics, is different pathogens such as this mold can come in, invade, and take over. This is a handy diagram that describes the interaction between the health shield that the honeybee has on its own and the role that the microbiome or the microbial population plays in addition to honeybees' intrinsic or endogenous defenses. These intrinsic or endogenous defenses are things like antimicrobial and immune peptides in honeybee blood or hemolymph. These intrinsic endogenous defenses also include hygienic behavior that allows the honeybees to detect and clean up pathogens early on. Yet the role of microbiome defense, so these rectangles represent great number of different kinds of bacteria that are good for the honeybee gut. These bacteria are very important because they protect honeybees so that the honeybee intrinsic defenses don't need to be used up to protect against things that could be infecting in the gut, things that could be hurting the gut. So the microbial biomass this way is the first line of defense in the gut against bacterial infection, fungal infection, parasites, and very importantly, environmental pollutants. We know that the younger honeybees, the nurse bees, have a higher level of lactic acid and other bacteria in their gut. As honeybees age, the older foragers have less and less bacteria. Stress, such as heat, moving, nectar dart, could also, as we have observed for years in the field, lower the number of honeybee gut beneficial bacteria. In addition to age and stress, pesticides and antibiotics, as I have shown a couple of slides ago, kill a lot of beneficial bacteria that are supposed to be protecting the gut of the honeybee, and what happens in the end is that this microbial protection is down. And because that microbial protection is down, it's the honeybees' health and honeybees' intrinsic defenses, which are meant to be reserved to help overcome things like poor nutrition, varroa, and viruses. Now these health resources are used to also overcome bacterial and fungal infections, nosema in the gut, and also trying to deal with different pesticides. Patching up that microbial defense, that microbial shield in the gut is very much possible. It's actually quite straightforward. Direct-fed microbials are a supplement that's made up of concentrated live beneficial gut bacteria that go straight in the honeybee gut and protect that gut from all of the insults that it receives. One of the important benefits of direct-fed microbials that we have measured over years and are also supported by scientific reports is that it reduces occurrence of nosemosis. So intensity of infection, of nosema infection, is associated with specific honeybee gut bacteria, and also administration of direct-fed microbials mitigates nosema infection, making the bees either not get infected or become healthier faster. This is a video that shows application of Super DFM honeybee, the most concentrated and longest standing probiotic for honeybees in the United States market. This is a product that is meant to be applied as often as necessary in a dry form, and it only takes 5 grams to treat one hive. To get more information, visit strongmicrobials.com or bsciencenews.com or call 1-844-MyMicro to talk about microbials and how microbial fermentation can help your honeybee health. Thank you.